Chas splits off from the rest of the group, hoping that the furious man will not go after him. He jumps off the tracks and legs it into the local woodlands. Mr. Baldy ignores him. His focus is Jamesy. The boys manage to stay ahead just about as they approach the old station house, a dangerous, dilapidated, abandoned old dump of a place. Without really thinking, no time for thinking, Miller, Talkie and Jamesy go through the small gap in the fence, the gap they knew so well, and they scramble in through the side door into what used to be a passenger's waiting room back in the 1950s. The boys skipped over the plaster and broken glass on the floor into the hallway, and then stop, caught in two minds. "The cellar," Miller whispered. And immediately all three descended the dangerous wooden staircase into the dark and dank below. They huddled in the corner of this small room, the only light coming from little gaps in the floorboards. It was dusty and not so easy to breathe. Talkie put his sleeve over his mouth to stop himself from coughing. They listened for footsteps. Shit, he was in there, doing his best to creep quietly, but not doing a great job. The floorboards creaked. But more noticeable than the creaking was the slowed, deliberate breathing of the man. The point of collective horror among the boys came when they could sense he was directly above them, 6 feet between his shoes and their scared little heads. Each boy's eyes darted to each other, to the ceiling, to the foot of the stairs. Would Talkie now cough or sneeze, as his face suggested, thought Jamesy. Neither Talkie or Jamesy had seen Miller this scared before. He looked on the brink of tears. Finally, after what seemed like a lifetime, the footsteps moved away and the heavy, deliberate breathing receded. Where did he go? Minutes passed. Jamesy broke the unbearable tension with a nervous smile. Talkie smiled back. Miller just sat wide-eyed. The 1,000-yard stare. What now? What now? Did Baldy leave? Had he given up? Perhaps he was lying in wait by the side door the way they came in. The boys began to confer in whispers. "He can't have just fucked off," Jamesy offered. "I reckon he's waiting for us the way we came in," added Talkie. Miller now seemed to pull himself together all at once. "Right, lads. Here's what we do. We're going up, real light-footed like. Jamesy at the front, me at the back. We're creeping through the old dining room, and we're going out the front. As soon as we're out, we're walking real casual like. You get me?" Neither Jamesy nor Talkie liked this plan much, but Miller was the boss, and he wasn't about to tolerate any resistance. And so, they climbed the stairs, Jamesy on point. Through the old dining room, they tiptoed around broken wood and brick ends to the front door of the old station house. The original door had long since been replaced by a cheap industrial wooden board, nailed over the original frame. But it was flimsy and coming away at the side, easy enough for 3 kids to slip out. Talkie pushed the board with both hands, creating a gap to the right. Jamesy squirmed out first, closely followed by Talkie. Both boys squinted in the sunlight with some degree of discomfort. Jamesy held the board now, and Miller squeezed out into the light of day. Fear gripped the trio as they looked around, half expecting their pursuer to make the grab. But no one around. No one looking out of the windows on Station Street. They walked slowly, ill at ease, towards the end of the street, and then took a right on Ashby Road, intending to head down to Miller's house, where they would chill in his yard, smoke a bit more greasy hash, and probably talk excitedly about this close call. But as they approached their intended destination, just as the mood was starting to lighten a little, Talkie clocked it 20 yards in front of them. A car with no windshield. A black BMW. At the wheel sat Mr. Baldy. He saw them and smiled. Not a warm, welcoming smile, no. The sadistic smile of the hunter who's about to move in for the kill. He started the engine, which surprised our trio, who thought he would simply get out of the motor and continue the chase on foot. He revved the engine once, twice, still smiling. This guy was a fucking psycho. They messed with the wrong nut job. We are so dead. He's really gonna kill us. So went the panicked thinking of our delinquents. There was no option here. The surroundings, the situation, the next move was the only move to make. Across the street was an alley between 2 main blocks of terraced houses, and it led to what used to be a coal mine, now just a dump, a tipping area. Our boys had this in common. None could feel their legs, and their little hearts were pounding like jackhammers. They ran. Baldy hit the accelerator and the tyres screeched. The car roared forward. He swung the steering wheel right, aiming for the boys with murderous rage. But they were too quick. Down the alley they dashed. Baldy killed the engine and slammed his head against the wheel in frustration. He let out the loudest of obscenities before exiting the vehicle to resume the chase.